Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pies Presser. A bit of an emergency one, if we want to call it that. Breaking news, Jamie Elliott has re-signed and put pen to paper for another 2 years to be with the Collingwood Football Club. How good. I couldn't wait till 6. I didn't want to do a pre-recorded video. I wanted to share this one with you guys live and talk about pretty much every stage of where it was and where we're at. Let me just make sure I have this available. I do. So just literally 10, 15 minutes ago, Jamie Elliott has locked in a 2-year deal at Collingwood, signing on at the Pies until the end of 2027. Let's have a look at what the pundits are saying. Let's have a look. Can we see this nice and clearly? I hope we can. All right. Collingwood Jamie Elliott has signed at the Pies. It's a 2-year deal. Any finer details? Let's see. Not really. We don't really have the ins and outs as to what the details entail within the contract, but we get him at 2 years, which is I think a big win for the Pies, considering we weren't sure if that was going to be enough. You heard Gold Coast had offered 3 years at 550 plus incentives, and it was hard to match. We just heard about Carlton coming into the picture, asking the question, and here we are now. I think maybe the noise got a little too loud. Maybe we were waiting until Copeland night to find out what happens with Jamie Elliott, but I think, like I said, the news simply got too loud, really. So I think there's a video, so let's have a look at what the context is to it all.
For at least 2. Jamie Elliott has committed to the Pies for at least 2 more years, believed to be on at least $650,000 per year. So I always see the name Mick Gleeson. That's good enough for me. So he's reporting in the Age today. Jamie Elliott has committed to the Pies for at least 2 more years.
Good result for the Pies.
Good result for
Jamie.
Yep.
Last numbers I read were 425.
Yeah. That might have been a bit low.
Okay, well,
just a little bit.
Well, he had a brilliant season.
Well, as in the reporting of it, or the actual number was too low? The offer.
Too low.
The number too low.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's a big jump.
Yeah. It is. Well, that's what
It's a
happens
huge
when
jump.
there's a competitive interest in the
Yeah.
player you want to keep. And I mean, we've said it a few times already on the late trade. 52 goals in the home and away season, and then 8 goals from the 2 matches he played in the finals.
Yep.
It was as good a year as you'd get for someone that
Yes, it is.
size and shape. And he's got he's actually arguably at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, I mean, if all of their older players were out of contract and they had to make decisions on them all, he's probably the first one you redo. But for whatever reason, he was almost last or second last to get done. So good for the Pies of being able to stitch him up, and hopefully he can have a year. I mean, at least even in the stratosphere of this year, that'd be a good result.
Yeah, it would be.
And look, in the end, seemingly the list management side of the club were playing, we call it funny buggers, you'd have to say. We were hedging our bets and hoping no club would probably come in to entice a deal that would steer Elliott away from the helm. But and that's what came into fruition. That happened. That played out. Carlton came in. Gold Coast came in. And wow, $650 each year for the next 2 years. I'm sure there's incentives. I would think there would be some sort of clause that would be written in the contract that if he plays X amount of games and kicks X amount of goals, he could be there for even longer. So, and it's funny, we've had this conversation about arguably the best small forward in the league all season long by quite some way. But naturally, there was that. I suppose there was that risk when you factor in the age and the injury history, which is all relevant in the conversation. But in the end, the noise got too loud. How are we feeling? How are we feeling, chat? For those who are here, I know we've gone early on the Pies presser, but like I said, breaking news calls for a live stream, an impromptu live stream. So here we are. Happy Billy, says Timothy. Melissa says it's $650 a year. Well, he gets what he deserves in the end. And then Manny says, Elliott signs, cancel the show, ungettable. Elliott re-signed for 2 years with Collingwood. How good is that? Let's go. Yeah, it's breaking news, my friend. We're going live. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. People will come in. Don't worry about that. Don't worry, champ. Just watch the feet, yeah? But how are we feeling? Chris, what do you reckon? $650 a year? What are we saying? Bobby, yeah, Bobby's one. Look, that's a conversation we can have throughout the stream as well, and I'm sure as people come in, we can talk about it more. But with Bobby, you look at, okay, Bobby wants to stay, but it sounds like there's murmurs within the club, potentially, within the board, where they're saying, hey, on the sly, if you offer something that's irrefutable, then we will go with we will look at that offer. We'll consider that offer. That's where it's at with Bobby. So, like I said, we'll leave the conversation. You better play like a champion. It's on Elliott now. The fact that he got what he wanted, to some extent, at least cash-wise, maybe not length-wise, but he's now it's up to him to essentially back it up in season 2026. He's, if you take away the age and injury history, this guy is easily a 900k type of player, easy to other clubs, but it's the age factor that kind of holds him back from earning that type of potential. But it is what it is. I'm just glad that we can now put this behind us. We can go into Copeland night knowing, okay, Jamie Elliott has re-signed, which means to me, if we don't hear anything about Brody Myercheck going into Copeland night, that might mean to us that, yeah, once the proceedings have been done with, that would essentially mean that's the end of Brody Myercheck. But I think we would all agree going into the off-season, the biggest contract that we wanted to ensure has the right outcome for the club, it would have been the Jamie Elliott one. Timothy says, couldn't handle him at the Blues, see Daisy and Heath. I know. To me, it doesn't, if I'm looking at it from an objective lens, which is hard as a Collingwood supporter, is why would you go to Carlton, who aren't as close as us to a premiership next year at least, right? And then you have to wear the burden of being a Collingwood player who moves over to the rival in Carlton. It just doesn't make sense. Like, it wouldn't have figured out to me. Melissa Swoop did a video today. It showed a text to Bobby asking if he'll be at Collingwood next year, and Bobby replied, look, as I said, Bobby's intentions might be to stay at the club for now. He replied, black, white, black, white. So, yeah, I feel like you just have to take that with a grain of salt with that reply. He's intending to stay at the very least next year. Just because he says that doesn't mean that's what the club is thinking behind closed doors. You also have to keep in mind, John Ralph leaked over the last couple of weeks that if Bobby's family was to move over to Western Australia at some point, then he can't assure the club that he will stick out his contract. So it's just not... Yeah, I think there's more to read into it. It's great that Bobby's putting himself out there publicly and saying this guy's comments are clown and black and white emoji, but I think there's more to read into it. It just would not be right. It'd be like Pendle's going there. I mean, you put him in the same breath. Elliott's a one-club player. He's been at the club for the longest time. He's had some massive moments that will forever be etched in black and white history with his name attached to it. So it wouldn't make sense. Bob's 1 year, you reckon? Tark says, needed that news during my work break. How good. Yeah, mate, like I said, had to go live. This is just news we needed to hear this week to help us breathe a sigh of relief for the moment. AB says, ungettable. Sam Edmund looks more silly now. Look, maybe the deal wasn't to be finalised today, but then that news came out, and I'm sure the club would have said, hey, let's damage control, let's put out this fire, and let's just make it news now. We were going to make it news at the Copeland night, but two more days of speculation is no good for the club and no good for the fans. Pies to get stuck into the draft, not so much trade apart from Buller. Yeah, the draft, you're looking at McCarthy, McGuan, potentially Saxoner, and then you got Jack Buller who will come in as well, and that will hopefully complement Jamie Elliott really nicely. Yassel Chronological just tuned in. How much are we paying? $650 for 2 years. $650 a year for 2 years. And I'm assuming there'll be incentives attached to that, which is, I think we can all agree that is a win for the club. I mean, we didn't have to give the 3 years out and out. 2 years at 650 seems completely fair for me.
Jamie Elliott has committed to...
Anything else here that we should be reading? I mean, it's just a whole lot of Jamie Elliott is in. He's re-signed. Let's go. Yep. They know we are a threat still next year and beyond, so they're trying to make shit up to upset the team and club and headlines using the Pies. And as I've just said, we've sort of just seen an element of perhaps damage control to ensure that we don't hear any more of this rubbish leading into the best and fairest night. Let's go, says TP. McCarthy is the one I'm looking forward to the most. Absolutely. I'm keen to see what type of effect he could have. I'm mindful that he might not be someone we see feature a lot in his first year, but he has a lot of X factor for sure. Timothy says, go all out for mids in the offseason. Like who? Like who, Timothy? Who would you suggest in the offseason? Stefanos Yasul. I hope you're happy with the news, Stefanos. What are your thoughts, feelings there? Nick needs help. Yeah, Nick needs help, but we can get that internally. We've spoken about it all week long. Bo, Josh, Perryman, DeGoey, a fully healthy DeGoey. We tend to forget that conversation that if DeGoey's fit for a whole year, it's a big if, but if he is fit for the year, he makes our midfield that much better. We've seen it. Driving with Pies Footy, emergency broadcast, had to be done, Benny. Had to be done. Who do you think will be the breakout player from the VFL into our first team? I'm actually hoping it's Joel Cochran. I really do. I'm really optimistic about Joel Cochran and what he can bring to the club. But if we're being more realistic, I'd say you probably want to see Ed Allen. I mean, Ed Allen's still more of a VFL player than he is an AFL player, right? Munted Unit says they were talking McGuan could be a rookie pick. Interesting. Okay. Where's that being discussed? I mean, either way, he'll find a way on our list. And by whatever means, I'm not bothered. Oh, Charlie West, of course, Johnny, that's a big one. Charlie West is another one from the VFL that you want to see break out. You throw in Noah Howes, Ryan, DiMattia, TJ as well, Timothy. The Blues link was classic clickbait. Not sure who came up with that. Was never on the cards. It's sort of like the Charlie Curnow Collingwood one. I mean, Xander Maguire leaked it on prelim weekend, and then nothing has really come about it. So, really, yeah. It was on Trade Radio with Cal and Bevo. Okay. Where was that? I mean, I didn't see it on... I mean, there was no, tweet about it, so to speak. I'm wondering if there's something here. Nah. Nothing there. But I'll have to look into the actual podcast itself. Would you take Stephen May if we could pick him up for super cheap, says George. So I think we do go for Stephen May. So he's on what we're hearing is roughly 800 a year at Melbourne. I would think that Melbourne, for his final year of contract next year, if he was to come to the club, I'd be happy to pay him 400 of that. And then 400 would be paid by Melbourne in their total player payments. And then you're probably getting him for a third or fourth round draft pick, which will be absolute peanuts in the end. Harry is like, Bo has the potential, not as strong. But yeah, how's our footy detox going? Got cricket training back. I mean, it's good to stay busy, but I think one of our ways to detox without the footy is talk about the off season, which is what we're doing right now. Ella Antonio, my kids wanted to say hi and go Pies. Their names are Callista and Aristos. Ella Buzz, hello to the kids. Are they happy? Do they know enough about Collingwood? Are they happy with Jamie Elliott re-signing? Do they know much about it if you were to tell them? Therese Zaza, thank you for the 2. I'm so happy I might actually shit myself. Please don't do that, Teresa. I'm assuming you're either at work or just finishing, so hang tight. The toilet's not too far away. No to May. Horrible, says Timothy. Reza says, Pommy was talking about Liam Jones. Maybe an outside chance of Pie interest. Was he delisted? Let's have a look. I mean, here's someone we can consider. If Stephen May falls through, then you look at You mean one of your next best options is obviously Liam Jones. He was delisted, yes. Okay, so he's in delisted free agency, so on. He's 34. It's not ideal. Not ideal, but I'd rather go. He'll be 35 next year. I'd rather go Stephen May, who played all season long when available. Still got AFL girls, that's true. No, I'm at home. I ran around the backyard like a dog with zoomies. Love that. Panther 34. As soon as Carlton started sniffing around, it made them realize how much he means to the club. So happy. Yeah, I'm sure that played a role in announcing Jamie Elliott signing today. I dare say without that being leaked into the media, I don't think the signing would have been announced today. Sensible deal for all. Absolutely. May makes us better now. Definitely worth it if he's not much of a distraction because he's a dickhead. Yeah, I think, look, you'd have to be some prick of a human being to upset the apple cart at what's already a really well-established culture at the club. So I think, if anything, it's going to turn May into a better person and a better player coming to the club. Callisto's 11 and black and white expert already. Love that. Love that. Jones seems too old. Look, for a year or two, maybe not so bothered about the age, but I'm more so worried about the quality in the play. And I think Stephen May, All-Australian Premiership player, is a better player than Liam Jones. Chris Talbot, how are you? Thank everything that Elliott is saying. I'm doing backflips, says Jake. Appreciate that. Love that. Luke, Matthew says, Allen is an inside mid, not a wingman. I was right about Long and you all scoffed. I'll be right about Allen. With Sidey and Pendles playing less midfield time, watch for Allen to step up next year. Mate, we're all in the camp that we want Allen to succeed at the club. And he's not going to be that. Allen is not going to succeed at the club if he's played as a wingman. He can't kick. And as a wingman, that's one of the baseline traits or qualities that should be in your game. You should be able to connect as an outside player, but he's well and truly an inside mid. And even then, he's still got some pieces to his game that he needs to work on. Highly doubt they had any worries about Carlton. Any sane person knows he would never have gone to Carlton. Bit of clickbait, you reckon? Andreas said yesterday there was a signing coming. Yeah, he was right, I guess. He was right. I remember a couple of years ago when John Jones was unpassable as a defender. I know. And it was unusual that he couldn't find his feet this season, but you'd have to ask someone who follows the Western Bulldogs like we follow the black and white if that's possible. We need to go hard on Stephen May. I'm confident that will come into play. What about move McStay on? I just think his best foot is behind him. I mean, he's still in contract. I think he'll want to avenge his disappointing second half to his season. I think he'll play more at home, being in the forward position a bit more. I wouldn't delist him because then you have to pay him out, and then that eats into your. So you're basically paying for a player that's not on the list for another year anyway. So I wouldn't do that. I'd persevere with him. There was no way Jamie was going to Carlton, our arch enemy, says Melissa. And that's the thing. Like, you just keep in mind, you hold on to McStay, and hopefully you bring in someone like Ben King the following year in free agency. You've also got Charlie West to be hopeful about, Jack Buller, Noah Howes, these types of players. Let's all celebrate Billy. That's what we're here. I'm so happy Jamie Elliott is staying at Collingwood. Stick up Carlton. Makes me laugh. Go Pies, says Chris Talbot. Huge. Freddie Jong is in the chat. Welcome. Do the Pies have any trade bait? Not really, Timothy. Not really, no. You suggested looking into some midfielders, Timothy. Have you got anyone in mind? May versus Billy Frampton. I think Frampton's versatility gets a nod. I think May is almost... Are you talking about position-wise? Because if you're saying that, I don't see Frampton as a player in any other position than the back line. But if you're talking about matchups, I feel like Stephen May is definitely more versatile than Billy Frampton when it comes to matchups in the back line. So I'm not sure what you're pointing to there, Johnny. Just need Bobby to tell us he's all in. He's told us he's all in, Stefanos. He has talked all in, but are the club all in on Bobby Hill throughout this offseason? Will Bobby might be all in for next year, but is that enough for the club? McStay was played out of position all year. Back him in. I'm with it. Flailing Eagle says, May talked too much smack in 2023 about Collingwood to be a part of our club. Couldn't even be graceful in defeat. I mean, he's a proud guy. He's a proud guy. He's competitive. He has that fighting nature. I mean, I'm not going to let a gnarly comment hold me back from considering his position in the club potentially. Let's go Metro. Huge. Bobby has pretty much said he's staying, says Jake. McStay's form was not his fault. Leaving the forward line, he'll be fine. Look, I'm not going to say entirely, Teresa, that because McStay was played out of position, it's not his fault. Like, you play a position, you're asked to do a job, and he couldn't do it. Couldn't do it this year. I can't concentrate, Billy is saying. It's awesome, Jamie, isn't it? Might be taken out of Bobby's hands. That's what I'm saying. Ava says Luke posted a video where he basically asked Bobby, and Bobby said black and white. Look, like I said, guys, I'll keep saying. I'll say it time and time again if I have to. Bobby might want to stay next year, but are the club sold on him staying? Would they consider a trade option? If he's only going to stay for a year and go to Western Australia, is it worth keeping him in the side when you're going through this somewhat transitional period? Checkers to D's is just about locked in. Mailman says, great news. They were liking May leaving to Brian Lake to the Hawks a few years ago. You've got that. To a lesser extent, you talk about Jordan Rufford, Lyndon Dunn. I reckon Checkers is going to the D, so McStay and Jamie up forward. Jack Buller will put his hand up. Charlie West will as well. For sure. Seeing Jamie staying has made my week. Love that. Love that. Hopefully he doesn't treat Pendles like he treated Gawn. He'll be all right. Come on. He'll be all right. Don't stress. Let's not hyper focus on one or two moments or things he said. Need to hear from both parties. Only way to convince me. We need Bobby's leg speed. I agree. Chronological. I reckon the club are thinking Bobby could land us a surprise big fish. I'm all ears. Jamie Brown's, I can't do May. His drunken shit talk to fellow Melbourne players' re-performance in the premiership was unforgivable. Damn. That's a massive statement, Jamie. Unforgivable. Bobby just put a photo up on his Insta story of Jamie Elliott signing. Oh, he's really... Look, maybe Bobby's trying to convince the club that he's here to stay and he's all in next year. So I see that as well. That's definitely an intention of Bobby there, for sure. Do you think Checkers had checked out later in the year because I noticed a massive shift in his effort? No, I feel like he had a bit of a form slump. He had a lot of shots on goal. He just couldn't convert as well. I don't think he checked out. You're not checking out of a year where you're potentially going to win a flag. Badri says, we'll have a chill trade period this offseason. Go hard next year for King and Butters. Bobby can get us the first round pick to use. Jamie says, I stand by it. Unless he's cheap, then okay, forgiven. So what I just explained, Jamie, I'll explain it now, is Stephen May is apparently on $800 a year at Melbourne. He's got 1 year to play. So my thing would be is Melbourne has told him to look elsewhere, which basically implies they'll pay a portion of his contract wherever he goes. We'll get him for a third or fourth round draft pick, and they'll probably pay half the contract, I'd say. I'd say they keep $400 of his contract on their papers, and we'd pay $400 a year, or pay $400 for next year. So I would do that. Bobby ain't going, says Josh. Ava says, yeah, that's valid. I don't like the idea of Stephen May either. I think we should focus on Jacob Blight. I'd say go both. We've got the space on our list. We can make it work. Benny says, thanks to the two, Benny. May's new nickname at Collingwood, Smoke 'em. Benny, you driving and donating at the same time, mate? You driving and donating? Naughty man. Appreciate you, though. McCreary and Hill in the forward line, unstoppable. I think McCreary in the midfield would be enticing. Panther says, I think May would be okay, so long as put in front of the 23 premiership team and apologizes for that comment. I don't think we need to hear an apology from him. I think He's a competitive beast, and I'm okay with that. Voidoid says, I didn't realize you were on this early. Mate, breaking news called for an immediate live stream. I think Collingwood trolled the media with the Carlton. Does it make Carlton look silly or Cal Twomey? Was it Cal Twomey or was it Sam Edmund? It probably makes Sam, but maybe there was truth to it. Maybe they did reach out. And as I said before, I think it just it forced Collingwood to play the hand of announcing the signing today. I dare say the signing would have been announced on Copeland night on Friday. Can you post in Discord if you're going live? I'll do that next time. Curious guys, did you guys get a notification when I went live? Normally, as soon as I get live, if you have the notifications on, you will be notified. That's my understanding. I'm not sure how many viewers are in at the moment, but it's nearly 5 o'clock. Guys will roll in slowly, so we'll get there in the end. I read that Sydney are looking at May as well. I mean, they definitely need some defenders, so that's an option. If he doesn't want to go to Collingwood, then Sydney is an option. But does he want to relocate? He went from Gold Coast to Melbourne, Victoria. Does he want to relocate again? I know it's not a massive move, but still. Malaka told you every day ungettable, but you never listen. Let's fucking go, baby. What else are we saying? You should be asking, why is Melbourne so keen to get rid of him when he's contracted? Rod and Apple? Well, they're going to get rid of him and get at least a draft pick back. And I think they're going in a younger direction. They're going a different way. Maybe there's too many personalities there and they want to go a different direction. Just because he's not suitable for one club doesn't mean he's not suitable for the next. True? It's a no-brainer. May would free up more. We would instantly become a much better side. I agree. Buzz says, good on Bobby shutting down the rumours. Keen to see his response next year. I'd only take him for a bag of chips. What's a bag of chips? Is 400k not a bag of chips? I think that's pretty good for a premiership player. Is a dual All-Australian? I'm starting to think if Bobby was going, he would have been making some trade decisions by now, or he would have heard something about it. Maybe Collingwood are quietly operating about this because clubs have let the journos know that, hey, Bobby's name has been thrown up for discussion. So, Sammy the Carlton, is Sam Edmund a Carlton supporter? Mayday, I love that. Stephen May, new name at the Pies is a Mayday for whoever lines up on him. I think we need our focus on our draft more than keeping checkers or something. We need to focus on rebuilding. Our team's just too old. Look, keep in mind, we made a prelim. We lost to the eventual premiers. Where I don't think we're putting our eggs in a Myercheck basket. We've stayed true to what the offer is and we've kept it there. And if he doesn't want it, then he doesn't want it, and that's okay. And like you look at Geelong as the blueprint, they've gotten older, and after 22, you think rebuild. They lose Hawkins, they lose Joel Selwood, two of their probably top 5 players at the time, you'd have to say, and they've done just okay. But you sprinkle in a bit of Brisbane, where you're able to inject some youth into the side and still stay within premiership contention. I think that's the next step, the next phase. Right as I was watching Bucks talk to Billy never leaving. Nah, just refresh the feed after hearing comments about Jamie Elliott signing. How good? 92 viewers, welcome. Appreciate you all for being here. No work to work, mate. Work every day, Lucas. We don't stop. Work every day, my friend. Whether we're in the office or working from home, we are here. Do we get a compo pick if we lose Checkers? Asks Matthew. No, because of his age and because of the deal that would be offered, the duration and the duration, the value of the contract won't be enough to trigger compensation. We will lose him for nothing, unfortunately. That's the way it goes when you keep these older players. Same thing. Yep. I reckon the club announces Elliott officially on Friday. Well, I mean, if it's been leaked, I'm sure there's no point in holding that back, right? I think more will come out after Copeland. Makes sense, wouldn't it? If we're desperate, then sure, but I don't like bringing another 33. The reality is, Voidoid, you got Reef, who's coming back from an ACL, so he still needs some time. Outside of Jamie Jeremy Howe, Billy Frampton, Darcy Moore. We don't have key position depth stocks. Illaru Smith played in the backline for the large part of the VFL, but again, he's probably not ready. I don't even know if he's ever going to be AFL quality. That's still yet to be seen. So I think he's a stopgap. I don't think there's anything wrong with a stopgap that would come to the club for $400K in exchange for a 3rd or 4th round pick. I'm not too bothered about that. Bobby will not want to play for the West Coast Eagles, who would have fun winning one game a season. Is Buller a done deal? We're hearing it's pretty good. Working from home or hardly working? Some are the same. A bit of both, Lucas. Here, brother. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Lucas Bresanutti. How's that for pronunciation, huh? Not bad. Could we use Ed Allen as part of the Bobby deal? Maybe. I mean, if you bundle him in with Bobby, but I just don't know what type of value you're getting from a player like Ed Allen. I'd like to see Ed Allen for another year to really find out if he's gonna be anything. Looking forward to seeing how a newish looking forward line functions without Checkers, who has been a linchpin for so long. Prefer to see McStay as the deepest forward and everything revolve around him. I'm with you. John. Keen for West, keen for Howes, keen for Buller. Let's see it. Voidoid says, I want Bobby, but if he could change his mind at any time, maybe it's better to get out ahead of it. My fear is his family will relocate mid-season and Bobby will just stop. That's a real possibility, and I think that Colin would have considered that. Ed Allen will be a good player. I see a lot in him. Hope so. He was a highly touted draft pick, so I'm hoping we don't bust on that. Mount Buller will be a great forward. Josh says we would be selling Bobby at his lowest price point at the moment. I disagree, and I'll make that a poll. If Collingwood were to trade Bobby Hill, don't get your knickers in a twist. Are we trading him at his highest value or lowest value right now? Question mark. Lowest, highest, and I'll give you somewhere in between. Let's move that for a second. Okay, let's get rid of this. Start poll. Looking forward for the new forward line and coaching line. I think we're too stagnant and don't lead into space enough. It'll be interesting. So we've lost Scooter. He's having some time off. Baz, I'm good, mate. How are you? He'll have some time off away from the game, which is much deserved, to be fair. So I think it'll be interesting who we bring in. We should let Checkers go, but use that money potentially for Charlie Curnow. Thoughts on that? Ava, look, our salary doesn't sound great, the room there, and to try and secure Charlie Curnow now without the draft capital is going to be very difficult unless Bobby was to go elsewhere. Unless. Crazy to trade away the thing the side needs around older guy speed. Club just announced Jamie as well. Huge. Glad to have Jamie back for 2 more years. Love it. We love it, of course. Saw your video on team dynamics and forward line setup. With that said, to throw a spanner in the works, thoughts on how to forward line and side bottom to battle out with Pendles for the back line? Lucas, I think with Sidey, I think we saw him in the back line in portions throughout 2024. He was okay, but he wasn't great. He had like maybe one good game. I think Pendle's back line, along with Dan Hewson, is the play. Jeremy Howe forward would be interesting. Thing is, he always, he does his groin in the back line, but I don't know how leading and jumping at the footy all the time in the forward line helps him either. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking in that way, because if you're thinking about that way about a certain player, maybe they should not be playing for your side. I think Jeremy Howe has always been a break glass in case of emergency. I think we should be better off making that space in the forward line for Charlie West, Noah Howes, Jack Buller, get McStay back into form, and then still side bottom plays through the middle, through the forward line, sorry. I'd prefer a player for Bobby and a pick. Come up with a list of 2 to 3 players from each WA club that you'd like at Collingwood. Highest, considering he has a 4-year deal. That's the thing. So as far as like that's concerned, considering he's only just re-signed, we would not let him go for peanuts. Absolutely not. A lot of you are saying, well, 50% of you say we're trading him at his highest value, and 45% of you are saying 44%. Only 6% of you are suggesting that we're signing him at we'd be trading him at his lowest. Bailey says, like side bottom in the forward line over the back line and keep Pendles and Houston back. Yeah, I'm with that. Need to save some cap space for Nick's next contract. I mean, Nick signed on for 8-9 years, John. So I don't think that's of consideration, is it? When does Nick Dacos's contract end? He signed on for like 8 or 9 years. He's only been at the club for 3 years. So he'd still have at least another 4 years, no? Know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Guys, my throat is dry. I'm going to quickly go get a soda water to continue on with this stream. Give me like a minute. There we go. Some soda water for those playing at home. Peach flavor, not my favorite, but we'll make it work. Nick is signed till 2029. Thank you. We need to keep Bobby and maintain our fast and ferocious Mosquito fleet forwards. Fantastic pressure weapon. Agreed. Agreed. But once again, I just questioned the commitment for the long term at the club. If Melbourne want 2 first rounders for Petrarca, then Bobby is worth that or more. I don't think Bobby is a first round draft pick. Small forwards are never worth that much. As great as a player as he is, I think you'd get a first round draft pick and maybe like a 3rd rounder or something to go with that. Happy to learn that Elliott is staying. We all are, Nick. We love that. Absolutely love that. Let's face it, Bobby wasn't firing even before the controversy. I thought he was having a good year, chronological. I must disagree with that. This is the biggest Doomsday Pies channel out there, says Peter. Enlighten me. Enlighten me. I think this is the most transparent Pies channel going around, because we come here on a live stream every night, and whatever opinion I have from my pre-recorded videos, I bring here and we discuss it. So I disagree. I think I'm the most transparent going around, and if you disagree with me, you're welcome to join the forum and ask the question, and I will happily answer. Dan Rioli got picked 6 and 19. Oh, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. If you ask the question, you know what? That's a great one. Okay. Maybe you could convince me then, Voidoid, that Bobby Hill is worth 2 first round draft picks. I'll ask the question now. Who is Peter? He's always floating around. Bo McCreary's been really quiet this year. Nah. Ava, no. Bo McCreary had his best season to date. He never accumulates the ball so much, but I think that might change next year. I think he could easily, if he gets through the preseason unscathed in the midfield, I think he could average 20 touches and be the pressure player that he still is. You went down to the club today, and the AFLW girls were there. That's good. How were they? Yeah. Chronological is the biggest Doomsday channel. There you go. Go tune into the 5-hour marathons and you'll hear everything. Don't worry. Bruno, welcome from Italy. I hope you're well. Gold Coast have different currency, and that's the other thing. I was right, Voidoid, yeah? Gold Coast they're willing to give up more picks because they have so much access through their Northern Academy. So their picks aren't worth as much. So while they offered 2 first-round picks for Dan Rioli, it's because they are Gold Coast. They need to pay overs to lure players, and they have the academy to choose from. Yes, Jamie Elliott is staying at the club. It was the Melbourne girls and some of the drafts, actually. Interesting. What did Freo give up for Bolton? Can anybody answer that? What did Freo give up for Shea Bolton? It's a good question. Peter says, Bobby needs to be moved on for a late first-round pick, and we can use them to get a defensive player in a draft. Houston will fill the spot of Hill. Okay, then, Peter. So then you call me the biggest doomsday channel going around, but then you come out with a suggestion like that. I spit on that. I despise that suggestion. So Bobby needs to be moved on for a late first-round pick, which I disagree. I think he could be close to a first-round draft pick. I think a top 10. But then to suggest that we need a defensive player in a draft, okay. But then you say Harvey Harrison will fill the spot. I mean, to suggest that Harvey Harrison will be what Bobby Hill is unlikely, considering they're completely different players. I do apologize. I thought you said Houston will fill the spot of Hill, which is why I despise the comment so much. So it's not so bad, but I think we can get more than a late first round pick for Bobby, don't you think? If that's the case, just a late first rounder. Yeah, Harrison. My apologies. You're all delusional. Bobby's staying, says Bruno. Fremantle received Bolton, pick 14, and a future third round selection exchange for picks 10, 11, and 18. But like, it was a 3-way trade. So what did Freo actually give up for Bolton? Was it pick 14? McCreary gives us so much when he plays mid, hoping he can transition to regular mid next year. We're all hoping, man. We're hoping his body can handle it. Serious question asks Nick, how does the AFL police salary caps? Hard to believe Cats, Lions, Hawks don't fiddle around somehow. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Unfortunately, I'm not privy to that, privy enough to give you an answer. There's always ways to work around certain things. Think about Cotton On with Geelong. Properties. So, yeah, I mean, it's messy, but I can't tell you. 10, yeah, but so it was 10, 14, 18, but like, what was the trade? What was actually the direct trade? Like, was it just pick 14 for Shea? I know, like, it was a 3-way trade, but yeah. I'm all up for a bit of fun hypotheticals, but any serious talk to trade Bobby when he wants to stay is Megalos Malakis. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think it's a fair conversation to have, just because, as I said, Bobby might want to stay next year, but does he want to stay the year after? Does he want to uphold the contract he just signed? And if the answer is no, or the answer is Bobby's not sure, then you should be wise and be diligent and consider what's on the table. Every contract has to be submitted to the AFL. It wasn't a 3-way trade. All right, let me have a look at this. Let me search this up. Shai Bolton trade, and I'll Draft Guru normally has a good picture of it. So Fremantle gave pick 10, 11, and 18 to Richmond. Fremantle got Shai Bolton and pick 14 and a future third. So that means Shai Bolton was worth 2 first-round draft picks. Wow. So, guys, my question then is like, if it comes to be, is Bobby Hill worth the same as Shai Bolton? That's the next poll question. I know some of you guys despise this conversation, but it needs to be had. Is Bobby Hill worth the same as Shai Bolton? Brackets, 2 first-round picks, we'll say. Yes, no, nearly, but no. I mean, can that even be an answer? I'm going to give it to you guys. I'll pay it. will be, a bit like Treloar when he wanted to stay, but the club needed to offload his salary. So I don't think we need to offload Bobby's salary, but I'm just questioning his long-term commitment. Bolton is a better player than Hill. Shai would arguably be better than Bobby. It's not whether Bobby wants to stay or not, it's whether Colin will trust that he'll play. Bolton is levels above Hill. Levels is a bit harsh. I think the fact that Shai can play midfield, I would say Shai is above Bobby Hill. So if that's a reference point, then I'm saying Bobby Hill is worth a first round pick and a second rounder. Murphs says, I think Bolton is a better player. Look, at least we're being honest. Murph says Bolton is a better player personally. Bolton doesn't have a Norm Smith. True. Marvel says he's a Norm Smith medalist, of course. Teresa says Bobby's not better this year, but with a good season next year, then yes. Okay. Fair. Pharaoh. Interesting, isn't it? Maybe it warrants a video. I don't know. I think you're spot on with the first and second. I think that sounds right. If we were to. Why are we talking about Bobby for the trade period why are we talking about Bobby for the trade period? Is he has not asked for a trade and the club will not trade a Norm Smith medalist. I mean, there's whispers floating around and you can't ignore that. Is there a world? Bobby worth what we paid Freo for Schultz. Okay, there you go. Let's have a look at that one. Let's just for context. I mean, I remember it vaguely. Lockie Schultz trade draft guru. So, Collingwood. The thing is, Collingwood not only. Okay, yeah. So that's exactly what I think Bobby's worth. I think Bobby's worth pick 30, a second rounder, an early second rounder, and a first round pick. So that ended up being Johnsy Fall, by the way, who Fremantle passed on to Richmond. So that would be interesting to see how that plays out. It is what it is. Clay Hall, okay. Where's he? He's at West Coast, isn't he? He's at West Coast. Yeah, he is. Okay. Noted that. My honest opinion is in a trade since Bobby and Bolton are on par for trade value. Yeah, I think, like I said, first round draft pick and a second rounder, early second rounder. Bolton played in the side with Dusty Martin. Of course, he doesn't have a Norm. True. Ashcroft has 2 Norm Smiths, but that doesn't make him a better player than Nick. Yeah. Fair. One game doesn't make you better than Shai Bolton. Bobby isn't consistent, says Bruno. Shai is probably a little bit more. I mean, Shai is inconsistent as well, but definitely more consistent. And the fact that he can play midfield, Bobby Hill cannot. Norm Smith doesn't up your value. Lee Matthews never won a Norm. Neither did Ablett. Ablett Jr. First and a second is on the money. Who else is happy to see the centre bounce gone? I mean, I haven't paid too much attention to it, to be honest. If Bobby wants to play and is motivated to, I think he will prove us all wrong for wanting to trade him. I'd love to see that happen as well. But I'll keep coming back to the question: is how long does Bobby want to be at the club for? And if his trade value is at his highest right now, then you just have to be diligent and ask the question and see what's hanging about. That's all. Only way I would trade Bobby is 2 West Coast 4-2 picks. And that's what you have to factor in. Let's have a look what West Coast have. What do West Coast have available? AFL Draft Order 2025. So let's have a look. West Coast have picks 1, 5, 19, 20, 34, 52. I'm looking at pick 15 and pick 20, which would probably be something we should consider. You know, guys, before I heard that Bobby could eventually move away to Western Australia, I was all for Bobby remaining in the black and white, and I still want him in the black and white. But I'm saying now with the information, knowing that Bobby may or may not see out his contract, has me wondering why we wouldn't consider moving him on at his highest trade value. Don't think Bobby wants to be there long term, says Jim. Benny, thank you for the 10, brother. Home. Just to clarify, I don't text and drive. My bro, Bobby, typed for me. Love that. Not Hill. You can tell because his typing doesn't suck. Great news about Jamie, about what we called smidge more generous. Yep. It's exactly what we called for. Me and you, Benny, and us. Eagles have picked 1, 5, 19, 20, 34, 52. I would settle with 15 and 20. Don't know about 34 because that would get pushed out, wouldn't it? Peter G says, I would say his value has diminished this season. Hope the AFL gets serious with the Brownlow and let the umps see the stats. Little Dacos would win most years. I know. It's a debacle, isn't it? It's disappointing. They will also get picked 2 for their captain leaving in Oscar Allen. There you go. I mean, talk about the right time to consider a trade as well. When you've got a club like West Coast who have all these picks, almost too many picks to burn through, I think you could get him at you could see him off at a really good price. I might sound insensitive, guys, but I'm just being real with you. I love him. I love the Collingwood Football Club, but you have to be real and consider what else is there, you know? Voidoid says, the reason you need to get ahead of it and move him on now is we can't do much list planning around him if he could be fickle at any moment. Yep. Will Hayes, speedy and smart and can be a Bobby clone. Watch this space. We'll have to see. Anyone know for the final range of Bobby's contract? It's Jamie's contract, 650 for both years. 650, and I think there'd be incentives there and maybe a trigger for a third, hopefully. If Bobby is going, it's not this year. Swoop's video asked him and he said he replied with black and white. So you would be talking future picks. I mean, just because Bobby wants to play on next year in the black and white doesn't mean the club won't look elsewhere, just in case. How about 11 and 30 from Freo? I think Freo have got a pretty good small forward group, don't they? They've got Bolton. They've got Murphy Reed. I mean, you can already build around that. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of other players. They got Frederick. I don't think Fremantle need Bobby Hill as much as West Coast do. But in saying that 11 and 30, you definitely look into that for sure as well. Absolutely. Malaka, stop the Bobby talk. He watches these shows, bro. Let's get around him. Well, we are getting around him, but we're being real as well. We're being real. You can hate me for it. You can not hate me for it. I love Bobby, but if there is a world where he isn't 100% committed, then we need to be cold. Yeah, it's a cold world, isn't it, Murphs? It's an unforgiving environment, and we just have to think about these potentials. That's just the way it goes. Hill had a shit year. If he commits and wants to stay and perform long term, we back him. If after another year we get the same, we move him, he deserves a chance at redemption. I'm with you. And there's every world where next year his value is the same as, but I'm also mindful, okay, West Coast need players now. Fremantle could be a team that would love a Bobby Hill. I'm just thinking. Just thoughts. It's called business. Could we get a first in Owies? I would not take Owies. He couldn't even play for the Eagles, Owies. He hardly played, I don't think. I think he was in and out of the side being omitted. I wouldn't take Owies. Not that guy. Can't stand him. How good is Jamie staying? We love it. We love it, Andres. We love it. I'm 100% sure Bobby's staying for at least 2026. I like Hill, but I love the club more, and players come and go, but we are always here. Would you trade Bobby with Ed Allen to get an A-list midfielder? Ask chronological, maybe, but I'd like to hold on to Ed Allen. I'd like to find out about him next year, for sure. He's worse than May. Yeah, Sam Switkowski is also. Yeah, see, Fremantle don't need a Bobby as much as West Coast. They got Frederick, Murphy Reed, Shai Bolton. They've got Switkowski. I think they're sweet at the moment. Bobby would have made a big difference in the prelim. Would have done more than an injured Checkers. Peter says Allen stays. Let's talk about what young West Coast players we would like. Okay, let's do this then. Let me just pop it open. Let's look at players that played this year for West Coast. The Wet Toast Eagles. And we'll go by age. So let's have a look here. Bobby for Heath Chapman. Straight swap. See, I'm not entirely clued in with the players here. I mean, Archer Reed, that would be crazy. He was great. A great defender. Clay Hall has shown some signs. Hewitt. Ginby's been okay. Marriage is an option. Hoff. I don't know what these contracts are for these guys. We've got a very young list. Harry Edwards. Tom McCarthy was great, but he was a mid-season draftee, so how much you'd be willing to cough up for him. Petruccelli couldn't get a game. And then that's probably where it goes. I think Waterman would be contracted, no? Yeah, Marriage would be one. Bobby, if you're watching this, give us the inside goss. Give us a clown emoji. Did I hear Zach Bailey is a free agent? Yeah, he is. So, look, the world's your oyster when if you can get picks into your draft hand this year, but we'd have to see if that's possible by way of trading a player like Bobby Hill first. I think Checkers will leave after Copeland, Chris. The only one we want from West Coast is Harley Reid. Archer Reid is from Victoria too. What's Stephanos say? Clown. Oh my God, I just got home and just read the news about Jamie Sahapi. So good. Great news. Great news. Love it. Guys, I think I'm gonna make a video about Bobby on this one. I really do think I am. And I think there's gonna be a lot of backlash, but I think if we look at it through the objective lens, we take off the black and white glasses, we just think about it for a second. Just for a second. That's an interesting one. That is very interesting. That would change the dynamics, wouldn't it? Well, we haven't spoken about the draft class this year either, though. So is it future first rounders that we would take instead of the picks we have now? Do we use those picks to get players? We love you, Bobby. Of course we love you, but we're just having a fair conversation. At best, we would get pick 11 and a player because his form is terrible. Nah, I don't think they would be able to use that against us. We'd have the leverage in the conversation, considering he's in contract as well. Mason, no update yet. Chronological. Thank Christ we have Swoop Luke instead of just having this clown. Hey, you're welcome, bro. You're welcome. Wino. Did we see Bobby's Insta post about signing? Bobby just said it's going to be fun in 2026. I saw that. Very good. Very good. Wino, if you don't want to be here, brother, you're more than welcome to exit the stream. More than happy to never see your name again. I could care less. Just if you're insensitive to these conversations, then this platform or this channel is not for you. It's not for you. So if you're gonna kick someone down for having an opinion, that I would say is rational, and I don't think many people would. I think there's people who would at least be willing to hear the idea. Then that's it. Tomorrow's headline: Cass wants May. Fuck you. yeah. Thank you for the 2, but bro, who the fuck? I don't know. Never seen his name in a chat before. So there you go. Is Bobby Hill okay? So 53% say Shai Bolton is worth the same as Shai Bolton, 2 first-round picks. Nearly, but no, and 34% say no. Calm down, Wingers. Yeah, I know. How are you, mate? How are you? That's all good. It's all good. People get their back up for the strangest reasons. Appreciate you, Bailey. It is what it is. Look, I always say, just on a side, I hope people like who stand up for their club and their players. I hope these people stand up for themselves as much as they do for the club they love. I hope these people stand up for their country, Australia, as much as they do for this club. As much as I love footy, I always keep in the back of my mind that when push comes to shove in this country, I hope and I trust that I'm going to fight for this country in any way necessary as much as I do for this club. I think that's important. Heard to go interest in Saints? Where? Thanks, Janet. I appreciate it. Now I can't stop thinking about your reading. I'm like, we'll have a look. I'd have to see what his contract is saying, Voidoid. I appreciate you, Ava. Very kind. We also have other clowns. Yep. We're all top shelf clowns. Heaps of academy picks this year, so the picks are going to blow out. So that's where you ask the question, do we trade in for future firsts? Michael says, I would rather a future West Coast than this year because the draft is so compromised and there are so many father-son NGA picks. Pick 11 could go to 15 just on that last point. True. We have a plethora of Collingwood content creators, which is great. And yeah, we're building a strong community. Wise words. I appreciate you, Tim. News should come out in the coming days. Can't reveal source. What news on what, BP? Yeah, I figured Geordie is old news to St Kilda. That's years old, as Buzz has just suggested. All right, guys. I know we went early, and I know you guys are pretty keen on the 6 o'clock slot, but for today, it's a little bit different given the breaking news, but we'll be back tomorrow for a 6 p.m. stream, and then we'll be here for the Copeland Trophy night on Friday. So have your calendars set. Tell your family, tell the missus, tell your boyfriend or whoever it is, tell them on Friday night, we're going to be live streaming, sitting here with Pies Footy, watching the Copeland Trophy and seeing all the deserved, rewardees, if that's a word. Rewardees. Surely that's a word. Is rewardees a word? Do I really close out the show like that if that's not a word? Anyways, appreciate you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pies.